I work in public health and I teach about behavior change and public health communications in the Master of Public Health program at the Larner College of Medicine at the University of Vermont. And in 2016, I was researching a book on the role of advertising and the cultural ubiquity of eating sugar, snacks, and processed food, and the role that plays in normalizing several generations of eating processed foods.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, I was in complete denial of my own sugar addiction until one day I was in the grocery store finished my shopping, and I was looking for something to eat on the car ride home, which is a habit I used to do. And as I was reaching for the dark chocolate peanut butter cups, I had the thought, oh, you can have that. You worked out today. And while that was a true statement and something I'd said to myself 100 or 1,000 times before, because I was so deeply into my research on the sugar industry, basically, I heard it as a voice that was separate from me. And it stopped me in my tracks. And I said, who is that talking? It's not my logical linear mind that's talking, because I have other goals than to be having sugary treats in the middle of the day. And that's when I did a pivot on my research. And I stopped working on policy and advertising and culture and started looking at the biology. How is it possible that sugar could be talking to me? And that's when I discovered the world of the microbiome and how in the gut is good bacteria and bad bacteria. And the good bacteria feed on fiber, and the bad bacteria feed on sugar and flour. And when that bad bacteria needs to be fed, it will say anything. You deserve it. You've been good. Why not? You can. It'll say anything to get you to eat something that'll feed that good bacteria. And that's what's really set me on my journey. And it took me 2 years to feel like I had a safe relationship with sugar.
I want to just support something that I heard you say in our pre-call and in this interview as well, is that there is a future where things that are normally sweet taste just divine, like a peach or an apple or whatever, that we stop noticing because we're so off the charts with that bowl of cereal that we start our day with, or off the chart with Nutella on a piece of bread. Like once you get rid of all that off the chart stuff, you can start to. I have experienced that with the glucose monitor for sure.
Absolutely. Reacclimating your taste buds and
Mm-hmm.
the amount of pleasure, because that's one of the hallmarks of overuse, is that you need more and more to get the same hit of dopamine.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not just one bite of pie. You need to have 2 slices or 3
yeah.
different kinds to get the same amount of pleasure. Yeah.
So talk to us just a little bit more about dopamine, because most people have heard that word before, but I'm not sure they would have heard it in context of this. I mean, social media controls us by creating little hits of dopamine. Talk to us a little bit more about dopamine, because it's so key.
So much is about dopamine because it's a brain chemical or neurotransmitter, and it's generated in a couple of different parts of the brain, but it gives the feeling of pleasure. But in addition to the feeling of pleasure, it's related to motivation. So dopamine not only wants us to have ice cream, but it gets us in the car to go to the store to buy the ice cream. So it's a whole process that has been developed so that we pursue those things that give us pleasure, and originally related to survival. And now that we're in an overabundant world, it gets us to desire objects and motivates us to buy them. So when we're dialing back on sugar, one of the first things people say to me is, "Oh, I could never do that. I don't want to feel deprived." And it's something that needs to be reframed, because yes, you're not going to have the thing, but we've trained our brains to get pleasure from these quick hits of, like you said, highly jacked up responses from, like, a piece of chocolate is an immediate quick hit of dopamine that lights up our taste buds, lights up our brains. And we've become used to that easy access, so that it's harder to receive pleasure from the simple things like roasted vegetables or even stepping outside on a beautiful day and taking an extra breath of fresh air. And I talk a lot about pleasure in my programs because ultimately that's what we need to do is retrain our brains to enjoy the simple pleasures of being in our bodies all the time, because we have beautiful sounds of music, the rays of sunshine, the way fabric feels on our skin. There are just so many simple pleasures around us all day long that if all we can think about is the chocolate at 3 o'clock, then we're missing out on a whole range of pleasures that are available to us at all the time.